Episode number 124 of What Does This Button Do? Or what does this button do?
What does this button do?
It's an educational show about smartphones and tablets with us, the Geeks on Tour. And our beginner's lesson today is about the first 4 buttons you need to know on your smartphone. But first, we have a quick tip. What do you got there, Chris?
Downloading a photo from your Google Photos library to your device. The issue is, Google Photos stores your entire lifetime of photos, and you can see them all on your phone, even though they're not on your phone. But sometimes you need a photo to be on your phone. So I want to show you how you download that. The example I'm going to use is wallpaper. So most Google Photos will not be on your device, but for the most part, if you want to use a photo for wallpaper, it needs to be on your device. Step 1 is to find the photo. Step 2 is to tap the 3-dot menu and then save it to the device. And the only difference between the Android and the iPhone on this is the words in the menu. So first, let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm on my iPhone. First, I'm going to do the iPhone, then we'll do the Android. And here is wallpaper. And I want to choose a new wallpaper. And I'm thinking of a scuba diving photo from 2006. So if I go to my photos, I am not going to find that photo in here because this only goes back a few months. So 1, go to Google Photos. Find the photo, and I say it's back in 2006. So I'm just going to grab this until I get down to 2006, and I think it was June 2007. And right, where's that picture?
It's in here somewhere. Google Photos has them all.
2006. Yeah, and I could have searched, but I just did this beforehand to. So we'll see.
You're in 2007 still.
Oh, okay. That's my problem.
That's one of your problems. Oop, did I say that out loud?
Yeah. Now in 2005. All right, June 2006. There we go. So, and here is an underwater photo of me. So obviously this photo is not taken by this phone. It's underwater, and it's from 2006.
Wasn't that phone waterproof?
Before this one, man, 2006 is before the iPhone was even invented. I tap the 3-dot menu and tap download. And notice it said it is saved to the camera roll now. And just to prove a point, now if I tap the 3-dot menu, I don't know why download should appear, because it's already been downloaded. Okay. So now let me go back to my settings, and I am in the middle of wallpaper still, and all photos. There is that photo, and it got downloaded twice. And I want to set it, and I want to set it just for the lock screen, not for my home screen. So now if I turn it off and turn it back on, there's that photo.
Wow, cool. I like that photo.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, she's my favorite.
Okay. Okay. Now on the Android, and here I'm going to do something a little scary. I'm going to use Jim's Android phone rather than mine.
You better be careful.
And there's something special about his. What's special about your phone?
Mine is a Pixel phone. It's a Google phone. So don't you be messing it up.
All right.
Google does a good enough job of that by themselves.
So on Android phone, I would go to settings to set the wallpaper, and it's underneath display in the settings, and then wallpaper. But once again, it defaults and my photos to the photos that are just on this device. And he has a lot of them, but I want to go back to an air show photo from May of 2007. I know that it's in his Google Photos. So we go to Google Photos. I pinch the screen so that I see the year and month. And then I go back to 2007 and May 2007 and May. And here are photos that he took at an air show. And I want that one. Same thing, 3-dot menu, but this time it says save to device rather than download. So I tap save to device. And I expected to see a little message there. But notice how when I go back in here, it no longer says save to device. Why do you think that is?
Because it's better. It's a Google phone.
No, it's already been saved to device. Now I get delete from device. So that's telling me that since it does not say save to device, it's already on there. And it gives me the option to add. So now I go back to the settings and display and wallpaper and my photos. And there's the one of the air show, and you can move it around too. So I get the best part of it, and set wallpaper. Do I want the home screen, the lock screen, or both? I just want the lock screen. He might not want this at all.
All right.
And that's it. That's how you download a photo from your Google Photos to your device to make it accessible to other apps that can't access your Google Photos. Now, just a little bonus. With the Android, if it is wallpaper that you want to do, you don't even have to go through that, because on the Android Google Photos, under the 3-dot menu, there's an option to set as wallpaper. So you can just do it all in one step there.
Very cool.
And on your Google phone, it can access all of your Google Photos for wallpaper.
Well, my Google phone
is very special.
It
yes.
is special.
Okay. That is my quick tip, how to download. And that was also the Learn Google Photos, GooglePhotos.com article from yesterday. So if you want to read it, go to LearnGooglePhotos.com, and everything I just showed you is written there.
Okay, that sounds great. And let's go on. Hi there. I'm Jim, and here with my wife, Chris. We're Geeks on Tour. Do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? And do you have questions about your iPad, your iPhone, your Android device, all of these devices that we have cluttering up this desk? And how do you learn about these amazing devices?
Well, we are geeks who teach, and we believe in lifelong learning. That the best way to learn is in small pieces. We try to keep this show to no more than 45 minutes, and we offer it every week. Sometimes it's a new one. Sometimes it's a rerun. But you can find them all on our website at geeksontour.com.
All right. Where are we now, Chris?
We're at home in Fort Lauderdale, and we went kayak diving this week.
We did. It's so much fun.
That's our favorite.
I even caught some lobster. We had lobster for dinner on Tuesday evening. That was fun. Kayak diving is our favorite sport, and Chris is so good at it.
But you catch the lobster.
I do. She didn't even find any.
I couldn't even see any, but
Oh,
but
well.
he came up with 3.
Okay. So here on today's show, this class is the first 4 buttons. Beginner's lesson, first 4 buttons. If you have questions during the show here live, use the chat, and I have that up and going. Thanks for everybody. Ask your questions there. By Wednesday afternoon, this episode will be posted at the Button Show, and you can leave your comments there. We do invite you to become a member at geeksontour.com. Just go to our website and click on the link to become a member.
geeksontour.com. The menu item weekly class will show you all of these 124 episodes.
And there's going to be a quiz on this later, so pay attention.
So this week, we are getting back to basics. The last couple times, we've picked other topics rather than smartphone basics. So today is back to basics. There is so much to know about these things. So where do you start? First of all, you need to know whether you have an iPhone, which the operating system is called iOS, or an Android. It's very easy. If your phone has a round button, your phone or your tablet has a round button at the bottom, then it is an iPhone or an iPad. It is using the iOS operating system. If it's not a round button, then it's Android. Now, there is a third one. There is Microsoft or even, what's BlackBerry? But
BlackBerry's gone to Android now.
okay. So the Android operating system has almost all the rest of the market other than what iPhone has. But the phone itself might be a Samsung, a Motorola, an HTC, an LG, or like Jim's phone, it might be made by Google, which is a Pixel.
In my case.
Yeah. So we demo both iOS and Android in this show. Now we know that if you have an iPhone and you don't care about Android, you might want to watch just the parts that are applicable to you. We make show notes with timeline links. So you can get those show notes by becoming a member at Geeks On Tour, and then you can go directly to the segments that interest you. You can skip the iPhone demo if you have Android, and vice versa. And those are available as of Wednesday after we record the show. So button number 1 is turn it on, right? I think that's a pretty easy one. So we've just picked what we think are the 4 most important buttons. Button number 1 is, I would call it the power button.
Now, when you're in the store, most of the time, the salesperson turned that thing on for you to show you how it works. And you also need to know how to turn it off.
Turn it off, right? So first you need to know where the button is. And on the majority of phones these days, it's on the right edge up at the top. Now, it might be somewhere else, though, so it's up to you to find where it is on your phone. For example, on the LG, it's on the back, which seems kind of weird. Well, I haven't tried one like that. And one press will put it to sleep or wake it up. To actually power it off, you have to hold down on it. We call that a long press. But then there's other things that all of these buttons can do. So in addition to the absolute basics, we're going to give you a couple little things that are extra. For example, if you just press the power button once, it will silence a ringing phone. That's one of our favorite tips. So if your phone starts ringing while you're in the middle of watching a movie at the theater,
squeeze it.
You can just squeeze your phone. You're bound. If your power button is on the edge, you're bound to hit it, and it will silence the ringing. You can also use the power button to take a screenshot, but not all by itself. It has to be in combination with button number 2. Button number 2 is the home button.
Some people think this is the main button, but we think it's number 2.
The home button is that round button on the iPhone. On a Samsung, it is an actual physical button, but it's oblong. And on lots of Androids, it's not a physical button at all, but it's just a drawing on the screen. But in any case, it is the home button. One press on it takes you to a home screen. 2 presses on it on an iPhone takes you to a multitasking screen. And long press on it, on all of the phones we have anyway, brings up an assistant. That's Siri on the iPhone or Google Assistant on the Android. And it is used for taking a screenshot. in combination with button number 1. And we will demonstrate all of these. So this is just my overview, and then we'll demonstrate. Button number 3 is the volume buttons. And there might be 2 of them. There might actually be a volume up and a volume down. Or it might be one long button. I call that a rocker, where you press on the top of it, and that's volume up, or you press on the bottom of it, and that's volume down. And on the iPhone, there's a special button called mute, and it is a toggle. If you have it pressed down so that it shows red, then your ringer is off. You need to have that not be red in order to get your phone calls. And the volume buttons have a special feature in that they will operate your camera shutter or zoom. Button number 4 is settings. Now, you might say, that's not a button, that's an icon. Well, we call them buttons. That's, it might be on the screen, but it's still something that you tap. It is an icon, but we call it a button.
It's our button show. We can call it whatever we want.
That is button number 4 is settings. And they look kind of like cogwheels or gears, and they control a lot. So if you're finding yourself saying things about your phone like, why does it do that weird thing? Or how can I get it to work the way I want?
There's a setting for that.
There's a setting for that. So the setting button is very important, which is why we make it button number 4. So I'm going to do a demo. First on the iPhone, iOS, and then on the Android. The power button, I'm going to show you how it puts it to sleep or wakes it up versus how to turn it off and on, and what I mean by reboot. The home button goes to the home screen, multitask, screenshot, and brings up an assistant. Volume buttons can control the ringer or media, music, or a camera. And settings, I'm going to show you the setting for screen time out and do not disturb. So, iPhone first. Oh, look at that great picture. I like that. Okay. So let me just get to my home screen, and I will be explaining it, and off. So the power button on mine, it's kind of hard to see, black on black, but it's on the edge of the phone at the top. If you have an older iPhone, it's up at the very top. And it is now on, right? The phone is obviously on. If I press the power button once, what do you think? Is this phone off? No, it's just asleep. The screen is off, and that is very important. The more you let your phone stay with the screen on, the faster your battery will die.
The screen is the most energy hogging part of your device.
So you need to take that. You need to keep the screen dark unless you are using your phone. So I press it once and it comes back to life, but what is this? I'm not seeing my icons. This is called the lock screen. And if you have set some kind of security on your phone, then you have to know how to unlock it. If you have not set any sign of security, then you just swipe. But we believe in security, and I have this phone set so that pressing on the home button with my thumbprint wakes it up completely and takes me to home. Now, I've started a solitaire game here, and I want to show you how the home button works. So I'm in the middle of this game, and not much I can do here, but there we go. So I'm playing this game, and now I think, oh, geez, when am I supposed to go to the dentist next? Or in any case, I need to look at my calendar. How am I going to get to my calendar? You press the home button. That takes you to your home screen, or it takes you to the last panel of the home screen that was active. Notice these white buttons down here. I am on the 5th panel over. Pressing home again takes you to your #1 home screen. And there's my calendar. And I can look up whatever I need to look up. So that is one press of the home button. Takes you to the most recent home screen. Pressing it again takes you to your #1 home screen. What, though, happens when you press it twice? So I want to get back to my solitaire game already in process. If I double tap on the home button, I now see all my recently used apps, and I can go back to solitaire, and it's right back where I left it. So that's one press on the home, 2 presses on the home, and there's yet another one. There is long press on the home, and that brings up Siri. Long press. What's the weather today?
Okay, here's the weather for today.
So that is the assistant on the iPhone is Siri, and a long press on the home button. There's other ways to bring her up too, but we're talking about the home button here. And I think that's it for the home button. Volume buttons. Now, if you want to control just the phone ringing, then you need to be on nothing. Let me explain what I mean. I'm going to go to music, which I use YouTube Music. And I play something. And is it playing?
Bet your volume's down.
I'll bet my volume's all the way down. So the volume, there's 2 volume buttons here. So I want the up volume. There we go. All right. So volume up, volume down, control. I put it on pause now. Controls the volume of media that's playing. If I go home and now it controls the ringer volume. So see, even though the volume was all the way up on the media, now it was all the way down on the ringer. So if you're missing calls because your phone isn't loud enough, make sure to come just to a blank screen, press your up volume, and get it loud. The other reason I miss calls all the time on my iPhone is because of that little button right there. See the red? That means that the phone will not ring. That is a mute button for the ringer. I don't want that to be on red if I want to hear my phone ring. It also, those volume buttons are also special in that they can operate the camera. So I go into camera, and to have something, let's put it on selfie and see if I can get me in this picture. There we go. So now I don't want to reach my other hand in there and tap the on screen. So I can click the shutter button by using either the down or the up volume. There we go. And it can also do zoom on some cameras. All right, so home button to go back to home. I forgot to show you, well, that's fine, screenshots. So I want to get back to that game I was playing. Double tap and get back to my game. And let's say that this is just a very impressive looking game I'm working on here.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, I want to capture this. Now, what do? Do I go get a camera and take a picture of the screen?
Well, you could.
I have been known to do that, but it will take a picture of itself. If you press the power button, and the home button at the same time, and then let go. See how it get a little snap there? So, and where does that show up? That shows up in your photos. I could look at it there, but I'd rather use Google Photos. And there is the picture of my game. I use that a lot to take screenshots of maps and sometimes of weather maps. I hope I don't have the opportunity to take a weather screenshot of a hurricane next week.
No, that would not be good.
And button number 4, settings. On the iPhone, it's that button right there. And it controls a lot of things. I'm in the middle of wallpaper here. That was on the settings. So that was one setting, was wallpaper. Another setting that I find people have a need to change is how quickly your screen goes dark all on its own. You know, how quickly does it go to sleep? If it's going to sleep after 30 seconds, it's going to be really annoying. So if you want to control that, it's under display and brightness. And on the iPhone, it's called auto lock, meaning it locks itself down, goes dark, and I have it set to 1 minute. If you tap on there, I think 1 minute is, 30 seconds is way too fast. 1 minute is still pretty fast. I kind of like 2 minutes. Do not set it to never, even though you might want to have it on all the time. You will run your battery down probably within an hour. If it's just on solid, it will run your battery down. Now then, you want to be able to go back out. So I'm in this auto lock setting. I want to go show you another setting. So this left arrow up at the top will take me back and then back until there is no further back to go. And I want to show you do not disturb. This is nice. You can schedule it. So if turning it on right now would mean put me into do not disturb mode right now. Do not disturb means calls and alerts that arrive while locked, meaning when you're not using the phone, they will be silenced. I like my phone to be silent from 10 p.m. at night till 7 a.m. the next morning. So I have set that. And there is just all sorts of settings in here. We encourage beginners, we encourage everybody to just explore these settings whenever you get a chance. So that was power, home, volume, and settings. Now I'm going to go to the Android and do the same thing. And once again, I'm going to use Jim's phone for this. So if I get into trouble, I'll blame him. The power button on Jim's phone is in approximately the same position. It's on the upper right edge. Now, once again, this is a Pixel phone. This is a Google native phone. And there is the power button. And it's on right now. If I press the power button once, it's now off, right?
Sure.
No.
It's just asleep.
It's just asleep.
The screen is off.
The screen is off. I press it once, and I'm now on the lock screen, and he has set up his lock screen to show him his notifications. To unlock it, you swipe, okay, and I took too long. Press the on, swipe the screen, but now he has security. And I just have to draw a pattern, and I'm not going to let you see that pattern.
Oh, I was going to go away from that. Now, my phone actually has a fingerprint reader on the back. So that's what I use to normally unlock it. And that's that little round button on the back there. But
Oh, we haven't recorded my finger on this though, have we?
yeah, but you already know my pen.
Ah, okay. All right. So his fingerprint reader is on the back. And that's another way to unlock it. Now, though, I want to turn it completely off. To do that, you have to hold down on the power button. And this is the same on the iPhone. I didn't show it. You have to, and that's called long press. Instead of just one tap, you hold down until you see something happen on the screen. And in this case, we have the option to power off or to restart. On the iPhone, it was just a power off. I'm not going to do either of those right now, though. But so I never turn my phone off. You know, I have the do not disturb so that it doesn't ring in the middle of the night, but I never turn it off. Every once, so why do I need to know this?
That's a good question.
Reboot.
Right, because these things are computers. They are no longer just phones, which that's all they did. So, what would you do when your computer was not working right? You would reboot it. When I was network administrator, my middle name was Reboot because people would call me up and say, there's a problem with my computer. What should I do? Did you reboot? Was my first question. And 99% of the time, it seemed, I would either not get a call back or the call back would say, it's working now. And that's so.
And the same thing with the phones.
Right. Phones
when something
tablets.
weird is going on, for example, and this has happened to me several times now, the screen doesn't rotate like it's supposed to.
Right.
We've shown this as a tip. And I know where that setting is, and the setting was done appropriately. It should have been rotating. I reboot, meaning I powered it down and then turned it back on or did a restart, and now it worked again.
Yeah. This happens a lot when we're at rallies and doing our seminars. People come up to us and have questions about their smartphones and stuff. And a lot of times a reboot or a restart will fix their problems. Right?
Right. Okay. Next is the home button. And on the Google phone, the Pixel, there is no physical home button. I guess I need to put that up a little bit further. There we go. There's nothing down here. Seems like wasted space, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, there's more memory in there, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. All right. But there's this little drawn on. So the home button is still always in the bottom center. It's either physical or it's just a tap. And so I also have a solitaire game going on here. And let me see if I can find it. All right, I'm going to have to use the trick that the iPhone, remember I did a double tap on the home button? Well, double tap just doesn't do anything on this home button, but the multitasking is this square. It does the same thing that the double tap on the iPhone does. So that square, I now see all my recently used apps, and there's the solitaire game as playing. So I could continue playing this, and now I want to go look at my calendar. What do? I need the home button. Well, where did it go? I even tapped the screen and there's other things that are going. This freaked me out at first, but see there's a little arrow there. There. Now I see the home button. I had to swipe up a little bit. So home button, and now I can find a calendar and look up whatever I want to look up. And then to go back to my game, on this phone, it is that square, which means recently used apps. And there is my solitaire game already in process. I want a screenshot of this. And it's the same idea. Remember how it was on the iPhone? I pressed the power button and the home button. But look, there's no home button to press on this. So what you do is the home button and the down volume, so meaning the lower part of this volume rocker, power and down volume at the same time, and then let go. And it took a picture. I can go home. I can go to Google Photos and all the way up at the top. And there's the picture of the solitaire game. Home always takes me back home.
And if you were to make that picture of the solitary game my home screen background, you could really mess me up.
Yeah, you keep trying to move the ace when you want it.
Nothing works.
All right, so that's button 1, power, button 2, home, button 3, volume. On this one, it's not a volume up and a volume down, it's a volume rocker. Press on the top for volume up and then volume down. And same thing, if you want to change the ringer volume, you need to be at a place where there is no sound physically playing. So, and it appears up at the top. And then notice this little down arrow. So it's saying, you're changing volume. When you're at a home screen and you change volume, it is changing the phone ringer volume. But if you tap that little down arrow, you have the option to change your media or alarm volume. That alarm volume better be all the way up.
At least for me, it always is.
It's not going to work. So that's volume, and it can control the camera. So I'm going into camera. We'll see if I can get it into selfie so you can see something. There I am. You see me?
Yeah, sort of,
not
kind of.
really. All right. Well, oh, it's just really dark.
Yeah. Tap on it.
There we go. Yeah.
Well, it's getting there.
All right. But I can just press the volume to take a picture.
Yeah. That'll be a picture we'll delete.
Yeah. Okay. And settings is the last thing. So settings looks like a gear. And there it is right there. And that's fine. If yours is visible, go ahead and tap on it. But most all Androids have a way to get to the settings from any screen by swiping down from the bottom. And there's the little gear.
That's the top.
Oh, just stand me on my head. Okay. And the setting, and these are all sorts of settings. Do explore them. You might say, oh, so that's why it's doing that. You know, you can change it. This phone has an all category and a support category. Boy, don't most people wish they had that.
Yep, a live person.
A live person will answer the phone and help you with anything on the Pixel.
That's because it's a Google phone.
It's a Google phone, and that's just part of it.
Okay.
So, display auto lock. I'm talking about how fast the screen goes to sleep. So that is under display, and it's called screen time out on this. No, it's called sleep. And I set on yours.
Yes.
It's called screen time out on mine.
I know
on my
it's different
Samsung.
I'm just laughing at you because you
Just because you like
just
to laugh
because
at
I
me.
like
Yeah.
to laugh.
All right. So I have it set for 30 minutes. I did that right before we started recording this because I didn't want the phone to go to sleep on me. But that is not a good setting.
No.
1 or 2 minutes.
2 minutes for mine.
Okay. It's set to 2 minutes. And another setting, do not disturb. That would not be under display. So I'm going to back up. That's the back button on an Android. And it's about sound. and do not disturb. And you can set up all sorts of rules about what time you want it to turn do not disturb on and off. All right. So that was power, home, volume, and settings, your 4 buttons. 4 first buttons. And there's a ton more to know. I'm sure you all realize that, but you got to start somewhere. Those 4 buttons is where we think you should start.
Okay. I have a question here. Do both the iOS and Android keep Google listening while asleep, like in the OK Google?
No. The iPhone, Google, it has to be open before you can say okay.
The Google app needs to be open.
Yeah, you need to have the Google app installed and it needs to be open.
Right, and there's a setting on my Android phone whether I want it to answer anytime or only when the screen is up. So those are settings.
There's a setting for that.
There's a setting for that. Okay, Doug says the screenshot on his Nexus 5 is power and volume down, just like on mine. Okay. Bob asks, is there a setting in Android that set Bluetooth on cutting of the Wi-Fi? We keep missing calls. We do not use the Bluetooth. I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, there's definitely a setting to turn off the Bluetooth in your settings. So if you're not using it, turn it off. It's another radio in there that's going to be using battery. So if you're not using Bluetooth for anything, turn it off.
And since that's something you might want to do often, there is a shortcut setting.
Yeah.
And that's a swipe down from the top on Android or up from the bottom on iPhone.
Okay, Bill says when Karen was working, the Do Not Disturb was her favorite for meetings. I agree. That's
Yeah,
what it's,
do not disturb.
It's really great.
Don't ring.
Okay. Well, somebody has got a new Pixel.
Oh boy.
All right, cool.
It's a nice phone.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It has a great camera too. All right, what else is going on there? Oh, that's it. Well, we do invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Geeks on Tour. You'll find us and click the subscribe. And like us on Facebook. So we have an app of the week. And it's something that really came in handy this last couple of days.
All right, what did I do with it?
I don't know. What'd you do?
I had a show and tell.
She had a show and tell, and now it's gone.
Well, go ahead, talk.
All right.
It's here somewhere.
Yeah, so, we're looking at one of these wall warts and trying to figure out how many amps it was outputting for the charger. And, these days, our phones really want 2.1 amps on their charge. And a lot of the older ones are only 1 amp. So we had to try and read it. So
I had to decide whether to keep this or to throw it away.
Right.
And it required that I read that tiny, 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 tiny print. And I cannot. Therefore, we use a magnifying glass.
All right.
And they're available on iPhone and Android. The one on here.
The one for the Apple was the magnifying glass with light, and there's a bunch of them out there. This one happens to be a free one. Some of the ones that I saw were $1.99 or 99 cents. This magnifying glass with light, and they're all named something similar. And then for the on the Android, it's magnifying glass plus flashlight that I found. And you also find them in some of the toolkits that I have and I've shown before. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, let's see what this looks like. All right.
So there's the thing that I cannot read. I opened the magnifying glass app on the iPhone and I just point it towards the writing I want to read.
And it will usually autofocus so you can read it.
In a second, I got to get this positioned right so that
Looks
you
good
can
right
see
there.
it.
I think I can see it. So it's
0.15 amps.
so that's not enough power for my devices to charge at a very good rate. So that.
And you can even change the magnification here too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, some of them
I
have
just
zooms,
dragged it.
some of them have other things there.
And you can freeze the screen.
Freezing the screen is very handy, but it takes more than 2 hands.
It takes, yeah. I can't be holding this. And
but you get the idea.
Anyway, yeah, I think you get the idea. And on the Android, we use something called Toolbox. Toolbox has a magnifying glass and it works the same way.
Right. Or you can get other, standalone lights, magnifying glasses if you don't need everything in there. I like it.
So, where's the garbage?
It's over there. Well, okay, that's about it for us. Let's wrap this thing up. Did you learn something? If you have a smartphone and it's not an iPhone, what is it?
Android.
Probably.
Unless you're one of the very few people that have the Windows phones.
Okay, to reboot a phone means to hold down on what until what?
Hold down on the power button until something happens.
Something will show up on the screen.
You'll get a message on the screen to shut down or restart.
Okay, to silence a ringing phone, you can just squeeze it. You're bound to press one of these buttons.
Either the power button or the volume button, when pressed, will silence a ringing phone. It doesn't hang up on the person. So you can still walk out of the theater and then take the call, but it will stop the ringing.
Well, pressing the home button takes you to a home screen, but long pressing on it launches what?
An assistant.
Right.
On the iPhone, that's Siri. On the Android, that's Google.
Okay. The settings button is an on-screen icon that looks like a...
I call it a gear.
A gear?
Some people call it a cog.
Cogwheel. Okay. The volume buttons can also operate what?
The camera.
Yeah, it can be a zoom, depending on the settings, and there's a setting for that. It can either be zoom or just take the snap.
I think they all will do the shutter button.
Yeah. So, Chris, what's the web page that lists all of our weekly show?
GeeksOnTour.com, and the menu item is weekly show. Actually, it's weekly class now. I changed that.
Oh, okay. What's the web page that lists all of our recent newsletters? And they're all free.
GeeksOnTour.com. The menu item is blogs and news.
Okay, and the benefits you get by joining Geeks on Tour.
Complete learning library of prepared tutorial videos. You can ask us anything in our member Q&A. The show notes for all of these shows are a member benefit, and discounts on products and services, and realize that every member has access to all of our ebooks, including the Mrs. Geek's Guide to Google Photos.
Lowell Ann had a question here, how to turn on voice activation for the camera. Well, my Pixel camera does not have voice activation. And I haven't seen it on a whole lot of cameras, although, when we do our photo classes, there is a setting on most of the Samsungs.
Most Samsungs.
And some LGs, and HTC had one, but we had a couple of HTCs in one class, and one did and one didn't. So my Pixel, although, you can get other camera apps. And I have not seen, I haven't looked really, but there might be one that is voice activated for the Pixel. Maybe I'll take a look for this week.
On the Samsung, I can show you where mine is.
Okay.
It's a setting on the camera, not the system settings. And there is no way to do this on an iPhone.
No.
Pretty sure.
iPhones don't let you do that.
Yeah, Apple doesn't let you control the sound. So on my Samsung, it's under the gear.
And you're in the camera
In the
app.
camera. Yeah, I'm
You're
in the camera app. And there's more settings than meets the eye. You scroll up and there's voice control. And so that's when you have that on, you can say cheese or shoot.
And you just took a picture. Okay. Hit that. And we do invite you to become a member. You get all kinds of good stuff if you are a member at Geeks on Tour. Benefits we just talked about. So next time we should have a live show again next week. Our topic should be Google Photos update. We'll see.
We'll see. They keep changing things on me day to day, so it's tough to get it together.
But watch for the posting in the show notes on Wednesday at thebuttonshow.com. And if you have an idea for a topic, use the suggestion box there at thebuttonshow.com. Yeah. Warren says Zoom with camera works to magnify. Lil Ann says hopefully Pixel will improve on this. Yeah. And good show. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week. I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
And we are Geeks on Tour.
Keep pushing those buttons. That's the way you learn.
Don't touch that button. What does that button do?
Go ahead. Push it.
Okay. Bye-bye.